Book ghostwriting wasn't always a realistic opportunity for freelance writers, and it wasn't that long ago that freelance book ghostwriting projects were very few and far between. Most authors just worked with publishing companies, and then these companies already had ghostwriters on staff. This meant that anyone who wanted to build a career as a freelance book ghostwriter would have needed years of experience within a publishing house to scoop up the very few freelance opportunities that were available. All that changed about 20 years ago with the decline of traditional publishing houses and the growth in self-publishing. By 2013, for example, over 1 million non-traditional books were published that year alone, compared to only 304,000 traditional books. With the self-publishing market growing this rapidly, there eventually came recognition that self-published books could and really should meet the same high-quality standards as books coming out of publishing houses. And this meant bringing in professional writers, editors, designers, and proofreaders. As a result, the demand for professional freelance book writers and editors began to outstrip supply. This sounds like a golden opportunity to launch a career as a professional ghostwriter. You're absolutely right. But the question still remains, how do you tap into this? Well, my friend and colleague, Derek Lewis, is a highly successful freelance book ghostwriter. He learned by trial and error how to transition from originally a writer and copywriter to eventually a professional book ghostwriter. Drawing on his hard-earned lessons, here are Derek's 7 recommended steps to make your transition easier. Step number 1, don't quit your day job. Ghostwriting opportunities are real, they're very lucrative, but that doesn't mean getting there is easy. This transition isn't going to happen overnight. So you must make sure that you have a sustainable source of income during this transition process. So if your current freelance business isn't bringing in enough income to support you right now, don't risk dividing your attention. Instead, stabilize your existing writing business first and then expand to ghosting only when the timing makes sense. Otherwise, your chances of success are going to be very slim. Step number 2, become a book editor first. Making the leap from copywriter to ghostwriter can be difficult, both in terms of your confidence level and the perceptions of potential clients. That doesn't mean it's impossible. In fact, not at all. To make the leap more doable, you want to stair step from copywriter to editor first. So get a couple of book editing projects under your belt, and once you've made that transition, you can lean more heavily into ghostwriting. Now, having said that, this intermediary step shouldn't prevent you from marketing yourself as a ghostwriter and editor. So retool your website and online presence with an eye to the future. Step number 3, target a niche. As you can imagine, the world of ghostwriting is expansive. You can write in almost any subject area, from alternative medicine to military memoirs to science to religion, and the list just goes on and on. So you want to first target a niche that leverages your strengths, your experience, your background, because having a niche gives you many advantages over a general ghostwriter, primarily by making you more competitive, making you more attractive, making you the obvious choice. Once you're established, you can then grow your niche into new areas. Step number 4, bulk up your portfolio. So next, you're going to need to create a portfolio that supports this chosen niche. If you have already written a book that you can showcase, then that's great. But if not, you still have other items you can use. One of the most common misconceptions writers and copywriters have about breaking into book ghostwriting is that they need a book sample in order to position themselves credibly as book ghostwriters. But the reality is that most authors aren't used to working with writers. To them, someone who writes articles, reports, white papers, and other content is a writer. And that's good enough for them, especially if your niche matches what they're looking for. So pull together your writing samples. The more relevant your samples, the better. Pull together client testimonials, associations, affiliations, certifications, degrees, courses you've taken. You can even reference clients of your clients. For example, if you've worked with an author who consults with the American Red Cross, state that. Step number 5, practice attraction marketing. Unlike most writers and copywriters, ghostwriters don't succeed by using both inbound and outbound marketing activities. In freelance ghostwriting, your clients have to find you, not the other way around. And that's because these are invisible prospects, meaning they don't self-identify like marketing directors and business owners or other types of traditional clients. People who want to write a book typically keep that to themselves, or at least kind of in the circle of friends and relatives. They find a ghostwriter not by telling the world that they're looking for one, but by just searching Google. Therefore, your job is to leave breadcrumb trails that will lead potential clients to your website and to you. And you can do this by a variety of activities, such as optimizing your website for search, publishing other valuable content to your website, and even guest blogging for a publication in your niche or being a guest in a podcast in your niche. Step number 6, practice editing. So next, you're going to want to gain more experience working with full-length books and collaborating with authors. And you can do that through just editing. Editing books will give you a better sense of how much work is involved in ghostwriting, which will help you price your quotes more realistically. Finally, step number 7, become a ghostwriter. So once you've become comfortable editing book-length manuscripts, you can start to lean much more heavily into ghostwriting. It won't take long. You don't need that many books from an editing standpoint in order to make that final switch. After all, it's a fine line between heavy editing and light ghostwriting. In your portfolio, you can say, I've ghostwritten or edited these works. I've done substantial amount of work on them all. Now, if this sounds interesting to you, if this sounds like a path you'd like to pursue, I'm actually starting a small coaching group with veteran ghostwriter Derek Lewis, and we're going to spend a few weeks very soon going deep into how to land $25,000 book ghostwriting projects. And here's what we're looking for, because this is not for everybody. We're looking for people who are already established freelance writers or copywriters. And by established, I mean that you've been freelancing for at least a year or two and you have some existing clients. You've had clients already. You're not starting from scratch. We're also looking for people who have good writing skills and some solid writing samples. Again, these do not have to be book length or long format writing samples. They can even be copywriting samples. In fact, Derek started out as a copywriter, not as a traditional writer. He's not a journalist. We're also looking for people who have the patience to develop and grow a ghostwriting practice. This is not a get-rich-quick thing. It's not going to happen overnight. Depending on where you are in your business, landing that first $25,000 book project could take a few months. We're looking for folks who are enthusiastic and who have a coachable spirit. And you're going to get plenty of one-on-one time, but you also have to be willing to work in a small group. This is a small group experience as well. If you want to learn more, send me an email, ed@b2blauncher.com. Put the words ghostwriting coaching in the subject line, and I'll send you all the details. This has been Ed Gandia with High Income Business Writing. To get tips, strategies, and ideas for earning more in less time, doing work you love, for better clients, visit b2blauncher.com.